Live. Take it away, Tim.
Take it away. Is it
All right,
garbage
or
day
carry
already?
it somewhere. Do something with it. Introduce the show.
Oh, here goes my internet, of course.
Oh, well, that's not a way to introduce the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Danter Banter. This is episode number, I don't have a clue, but it's going to
42.
be a lot of great time. We got our host here, Tim Danter, and we got Candace over here, and we also have the friggin' down below. So the three of us will talk about this, that, and everything. It should be a lot of fun.
The freaking.
The friggin'.
Yeah. Well, I would have been on. I would have been consistent last week. However, someone needed to be picked up at the airport.
Ah.
Don't they have cabs for that?
Those mail order brides are so demanding.
Yeah, well, this one came in from Halifax, so kind of had to pick her up.
Yeah.
She has now. She dislikes one of the major airlines in this country so much, right, that she has turned to flying in a pinch Porter.
Oh.
And she said it was absolutely phenomenal, the service on there. She went Toronto, because Porter usually flies out of Billy Bishop. That's where it originated from, but now it's out of Pearson. And it's flying to destinations in the States, Punta Cana, so on and so forth. And they now have jets, like bigger jets, not the twin propellers from the de Havillands and stuff like that.
Okay.
So she was in Halifax, and I'm waiting for the call to say I'm delayed, because everything either coming out of Newfoundland or Halifax, you never get out on time, ever. Like anything I've had experience with, I've never been on time getting out of there. She's on time. She's actually early on her flight. Friend of hers, her business mentor, has her scheduled flight 1 hour before she did. So she drove her to the airport. She was out in Fox Harbor. And she's home. We're driving home from the airport, and her friend texts and says, "I'm just boarding now."
Holy banana bread. Wow.
And that was like 7:15, and her flight was supposed to be 4:30.
So if you pinch a porter, do you still have to tip them?
It depends. There's Gary. How's it going, Gary? We're going to talk about something important that's near and dear to our heart. I don't know what Ken's going to do.
Poor Ken.
What would that be, Candace?
We're going to talk about driving, I have a feeling.
Why are we going to talk about driving, Candace?
Because tomorrow I'm actually doing the banana fuddling test.
You are so lucky, because you know what? A couple of weeks from now, you could have hit a bouquet of weather, So be thankful. Now you're going. Have you got a warm up before?
Yes. So I mean, I start with my trainer at like 8 in the morning, and I think the test is sometime after like 9:30. I think we have to be over at Walker to meet up with the testing person.
Phil. The testing, but you mean the examiner?
Well, the examiner, yeah. The person who holds my fate. Now, I was thinking of showing up with donuts, but I have a feeling that doesn't fly well.
They're I would probably shelf the humor.
Yeah. I'm thinking
they're like, I get this all the time, and every road test I get this stuff. Just shut up and drive, this type of deal. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So it should be fun.
Yeah. Well, you could turn to the guy and say, "Have you ever been carjacked?"
Yeah.
As you stick your hand in your coat.
Well, here's the thing. I don't even know. I don't know how it works, because it's using the young driver's car, right? So, does my trainer guy have to just not even go, or does he go in the back seat, or what happens?
Oh no, he stands there. He stands out. He'll stand at the road test center and wait for you to come back.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You'll have to. I think it's still. You have to be there like a half hour early. Your instructor will be responsible to ensure that all signals work, brake lights work, horn works. There's no cracks in the windshield. Because if none of that works, or any one of those,
Yeah,
it's
you can't take the test.
disqualified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know what? They'll get in and they'll say, you know, they'll come up and they'll knock on the window and it'll say like, well, is this you? And it's like, well, yeah, you know, it's me. And they'll say, okay, good. And it's 10 minutes tops.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not long.
Oh, I thought it was a much longer than that.
No, your G exit road test will be the long one, but this
Mm.
one is just around the block, probably, you know, parallel 3-point turn, hill park and stuff like that. But
Okay.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
my G road test, I did mine in the middle of the wintertime. And I did a 360 in an intersection, and I was turning, I was making a left-hand turn, and I ended up doing a 360 through the whole turn, and I completed my
Yep.
turn. And the guy
Yep.
said, if you can do that, you can drive. And he took me back to the place and he gave me a check mark on everything, and I got my license.
Wow.
Well, you just tell them that's how the way you were taught to scan the intersection, do a 360.
Right. Yeah, I had my my driver's ed backup, you know. I had my certification. It was through the board of education on top of that. So
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it's always fun. It's
Yeah.
always fun. They're good.
Now,
I
Gary's
have
saying that apparently it's changed a lot since 4 years ago. So maybe I'm in for
What
more
you-
than we think.
oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, because Gary, they don't make them do. Oh shoot. Do they make you do a parallel park, or have they still got that left out?
Well, my instructor said that you have to do either one or the other, a back in or a parallel park. So, you know, I don't know
But
how
if they do a three, yeah, but if they do a 3-point, make you do a 3-point turn, they're still getting their backing maneuver there.
That's
no parallel
true.
park. That's what I thought. They were supposed to bring that back because the reason initially, and I'm sure I'll be corrected, but the reason they got rid of it was to catch up on the road test and shorten the time.
Okay.
So, and it looks
There's
like
not-
it's
there's-
still.
Well, there's not too many people that parallel park. They'd sooner just look for a big opening and just drive straight into it, right?
Mm.
Right.
Even if they got to walk an extra block, they would sooner do that because it's so much easier than attempting to do the parallel when they haven't done it quite frequently, right? So
I've been out of the loop with the road test for a while. I was more up on it when I was. You don't mind if I scratch my asshole when we talk to you? When I was on the show and stuff like that. But it, with us in Ontario having taken out the parallel park for the road test and stuff, it absolutely makes our road test a joke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're driving for 10 minutes and then, you know, one of the things I used to get in the driving school was, well, you passed my son or my daughter. And it's like, actually, no, it was the government of Ontario that passed them. It wasn't me. You know, because they'd get into a pickle, you know, they'd be out in their, you know, and 2-3 months down the road, we get this call from the sphere. You taught them how to do this and that. And you passed them. It's like, whoa, did not teach them that and did not pass them. They passed on their own under a different third party. So sorry. And that's why I believe in Alberta, they actually, now I don't know if they've gone back to privatization for road tests, but they were privatized out there for road test at one point, and they reversed that because there was too much shenanigans going on between, you know, being a private entity and, you know, arm's length with a driving school, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't think I'll ever parallel park. I know how to do it now, and I'm okay at it, but I just don't see it being practical.
Yeah.
it's normally used for downtown areas where it's busy, right? So if you can find a municipal parking lot and just back into a parking spot instead, then it saves you a lot. It saves you a lot of headache, right?
Right, but and even in the municipal and even in parking lots, they're encouraged to drive through the first drive out. So you don't have to. It's like the old is it UPS or FedEx or something? Avoid backing at all costs, right?
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
because that used to be one of the highest stats for the Halton Regional Police new recruits was most of their accidents on the road for a new recruit was backing.
Mhm.
Right. Well, maybe
And
they'll change that now since the whole camera thing in vehicles now. Right?
I don't know.
You got the back of the camera and you have the beeper telling you're too close, right? So
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't. That must be still engaged for police cars. Mind you, their computer is right over that, right? Usually, I don't know.
Mhm.
I
Now
don't know.
here's a question. Like my instructor said that if you go over or under by 3 kilometers, they'll ding you for it. So if you're driving along, let's say the speed limit's 50, and you push up to 54, then you back down to 52, but then you push up to 54 again. Do they ding you twice, or do they still only ding you once?
It has to. Yeah, that could be the same cycle, right? Considered the same cycle, and usually, um, it's back in the day when I was, going out and stuff. It was you're over once and you're done type of deal.
Yeah.
Um, but being like there's usually a plus minus of 2-3 kilometers because of certain circumstances. I mean, when we used to do what was called a SRT in our schools, and that was a simulated road test. So we would have a score sheet very, very similar to what the government road test would be. And we would take our students usually second to last, if not their last lesson, and we would put them through a simulated road test to say, okay, we're going to shut up. We're not going to say anything to you. We're going to be writing stuff down on the clipboard, and we're going to only say left, right, parallel, park, or whatever the case is. Other than that, all this decision making is yours. Show me what you got, right? And if and I was, well, maybe I was fair, maybe I was reasonable, but if their speed got up at 50 and it got up 54, whatever the case is, if we're talking in a 50 zone, I would count to 3. I would give it a 3 count to allow them that much time to correct it. And after that,
Mhm.
they were done. It's just like the following distance. There's times when you would be in a situation in a traffic flow when you're getting right up on someone's bumper, or you turn out and you're into someone's bumper. And I would count to 3 to allow them to regain that following distance. And after that, they'd be dinged for it.
Okay.
Right. So I was giving reasonable time for the student to sort of go, okay, I identify this and I've got to correct it. So,
That makes sense. Yeah, because
but
I mean, I know that the instructor was saying sometimes it's the luck of the draw if you get a really strict, driving evaluator.
yeah, we
They'll
got
help you
one.
do
We got
anything.
one here that everybody tries to avoid, but you can't pick and choose.
well, I
So
think I think well, Gary will know better than I do, but I know that every center had them. We had what did we have? We had a guy called Satan. He was a little guy. He was red hair, red beard, so he got Satan, and he didn't put up with any shit, and he didn't. He just was like, "No, you failed. Now get out of the car," type of deal. We had someone who um, was non-white, and she was called a Black Widow. Now,
Mhm.
this is back in All in the Family time, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. So the 70s.
that's how far I'm going back, right?
Mhm.
And we had other people like I had one guy who I hired as an instructor, and he actually became an examiner. Well, oh my God, when they go from instructor to examiner, I had him once, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" and stuff like that. Don't talk to me. Get away from the car. I'm on a test with your student, and it was like, okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
Fun.
Well,
But on
it'll
the
be
bright
interesting.
side, it'll be done and over with tomorrow, and no more
Yep.
stress.
No, not at all. I meant to ask you. You did a video. Oh, shit.
I've done a lot of
You
videos.
no. Oh, thank you very much.
you're quite welcome.
Custodial. Uh, uh, Custodial. What's the word I'm looking for? of your gold and silver. You did remember that one you did on gold and silver and
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
like
The
that, right?
physical asset one.
And you were saying there was some places to buy it and stuff like physical assets. Yeah, right, like that.
Hmm.
And I'm surprised that because the one that comes up on my feed is buy gold, silver. It's out in Alberta.
Right.
You
There's,
ever
I mean,
heard of them?
there was a lot of different ones. I basically went for ones that were really, really reputable. So I just grabbed 3 of the top ones. So not saying that other ones are bad. That's why I basically said, when you go to buy gold or silver or, palladium or platinum, for example, you want to just make sure that you're getting it from a reputable buyer. Do your due diligence on it. Make sure that they're not doing anything kind of funky. Like some of these fly by night ones, they may not be giving you 99.9% pure gold. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you can trust who you're dealing with when you're dealing with something like that. So yeah, and that was the thing. I just grabbed like the Canadian Mint. I think, and then there was 2 others that I had there as well. So
But this is stuff that people think in the back of their mind is that, if our currency and our what is fiat now goes to shit in a handbasket, and we've got gold or we've got silver, we can use that to negotiate and that as a currency and stuff. But to your point, I think in your video, it's like, but how much silver is equivalent to X amount of
that's
dollars in that exact moment in history when shit's going down, right? And
exactly.
if I'm holding my stuff in my safety deposit box, I can't get into my safety deposit box, or we've got another custodian like the mint, or like, because you said, because the mint does, you said the mint store stuff, right?
They do. They have a storage
So,
facility.
but we have a storage facility that we can't get into. Then what the hell is the use of having the gold or the silver?
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I sort of tried to nail home is that in a worst case scenario, um, you're pretty much screwed anyway, even if you're
Yeah.
holding silver or gold. I mean, if you've got a bar of gold that's worth, let's say, $5,000, you're not gonna trade it for a loaf of bread,
No. Oh,
And even if the person was like, okay, well, I want 1/100th of that bar, how the hell are you gonna give them 1/100th?
yeah.
You know?
That's why you'd
Um,
have to collect it in bullions beforehand
Well, you could have
instead of.
bullions, or there's different things that you could do. But I mean, the reality is, if society is in that bad a shape that you're left scrapping with gold, um, most likely people are going to take whatever they want. There's not even going to be a fair exchange. It's going to be, I've got a bigger stick than you. Give me that bread.
Well, I was just about to
Right.
say that. I'm thinking that lead is going to be the commodity. Lead.
Well, maybe, but I mean,
You
that'll
know,
only last until for so long, right?
bullets.
Well, yeah, bullets will only last for so long. I mean, once they're gone, they're gone. You've got no way to make any new ones unless
Yeah,
you
I guess you
actually get
can't pick
into
them out. I guess you can't kind
smelting
of
or
pick them out of
yourself.
people and repocket, can you?
Not really.
Ew.
Arrows would be nice because then at least if you kill it, you can go and get your arrow back. Swords would be ideal. I mean, we're talking about going pretty far back in history.
We are. It's and these. It's interesting because we're starting to get more stuff pop up on our YouTube about Bitcoin and about fiat and about BlackRock. This thing about BlackRock and the SEC and stuff like this. And BlackRock is such a mammoth behemoth
Mhm.
player. I honestly don't know who's bigger than them. I think they're the biggest
Well,
in the
here's the
world and stuff like
interesting
this.
thing with these rumors. Last week, it was rumored that BlackRock is getting really, really close to that spot Bitcoin ETF. That's why Bitcoin exploded. Now it's up around 35,000 because of that.
Yeah, and and it's going to be interesting that if they get approved, they're going to go on a tear of buying stuff, right? And I
Mhm.
mean, what is it? 92% of all Bitcoin's already been mined or something like that, right? So, you know, for that other 8% that's out there, that's still a shit ton of it,
Yeah,
right?
and plus we've
But
got a halvening coming up this year in 2024.
yeah, I don't know if that'll have much of effect or do anything. You know what I mean? Because it just
Well, it's
seems to
gonna
be
make it
different
harder to
times.
mine the Bitcoin, so
Yeah.
it makes it it basically adds an extra level of scarcity to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I mean, I'm still DCAing into it very, very, I've cut back to half of what I'm doing daily.
Mhm.
But I'm still doing it. And, we'll see what goes on. It's, is what's going on with Gaza and Palestine and Israel and all of that, is this the black swan event that they were talking about that's going to make everything else
I
do
think
crazy things? Is this the black swan we've been waiting for? Because
I
we
think
certainly haven't heard of Russia lately, have we?
no, but I think this is the thing. When all of the stuff with Gaza happened, a lot of the stuff that we thought was going to happen to the market just didn't happen. And I think that's because of Russia. I think we've already sort of spent our uncertainty points on the whole Russian invasion of Ukraine. And now when this happens with Gaza, it's like, oh yeah, just another war. It's like it's almost like it's the status quo.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the world is used to it right now. And I mean, even still, I mean, the biggest danger is still Russia, Ukraine. When you look at the potential for going into some pretty, like tactical nukes and things like that, there's a higher potential in that war than what we have right now. Like Iran might have nukes or may not have nukes. Nobody's 100% sure if they actually have it. We know that Israel has them, but I don't think Israel's going to use them. And everybody's standing on the sidelines. I mean, people like Russia right now, they will never admit it, but they're kind of like, okay, let the US deal with this, because as far as they're concerned, if the Russia's sending all this support to Israel, they're sending less support to Ukraine, and that's helping out Russia. So,
Well, and it's watering down resources in the fact of being that US can't be everywhere at once.
no, they can't.
And the other countries that are going to jump in on this, we haven't heard much about the UK getting involved in this. We haven't heard much about Russia, pardon me. I've gone blank.
Germany or
Yeah, like those people,
yeah.
we haven't heard much about them sort of jumping on the bandwagon and getting in there. It's mostly US based, right? I mean, it's Biden came back from his tour over in the Middle East there, and now that they have a Speaker of the House, let's see what happens, because now they can kind of
Mhm.
unjam all those logs that have been built up over how long have they been speakerless? Like a
Like
couple of weeks, right?
4 weeks. I thought it was I don't
Yeah,
know, 4 weeks, something crazy like that.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, but he came back and he said, well, he's now going to ask for another $10 billion in aid for Israel, for Ukraine. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't, I'm speechless in all this money going out. And I often wonder if that wasn't Biden in there and that was Trump in there, right? Just go down that path. If that was Trump, if he would be doing that, or if he would say, no, it's America first, you know what? And he'd be a little bit more tougher and he wouldn't be so, quote, liberal with the money.
That's a possibility. I don't think he would be throwing it away as much,
No.
and plus he would probably be causing more chaos on the world stage, as he's the only one who can stop all of this.
Well, I don't know though. Trump and Putin, they seem to get along pretty good. So
Well, I think as long as Trump was in, Putin wasn't going to go into Ukraine. He waited for Trump to leave.
right, yeah. So if Trump was still in power, I think things would have been a bit different.
Yeah, we still would have had. I mean, Russia still would have went into
Yeah.
Ukraine, but they would have waited another 4 years.
Yeah, the conflict was going to happen regardless. They've been fighting over this for how many years now?
Oh, decades.
Well, pretty much
Right.
since November 9th of 1989.
Is that when the the British gave up or relinquished control?
No,
Or
that's
was
when
it was
that's
more
when
into
the
it was
Berlin
more
Wall
world
came down.
what?
That's when the Berlin Wall came down.
When?
November 9th, 1989.
Oh, 89, pardon me.
Yeah.
89, yes.
So that was
Sorry,
the
I thought
beginning of the end for the Soviet Union right there at that point.
Man, that's holy shit. 34 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you look at a lot of younger people today and they don't even, you could say Soviet Union and they're not even 100% sure what that is.
Right? They'd be
Yeah,
like,
no.
isn't that somewhere beside Germany, somewhere there? Isn't it a small town in between Russia and Germany?
Hmm.
I don't know. Here's what I do know, and I get this publication called The Peak.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he froze.
I think he froze too.
So Tim gets this publication called Peekaboo.
No, it's called The Peak. It's basically it's a financial Canadian email newsletter. So they send out little tidbit stories every single day. It's actually quite good. I actually use The Peak sometimes when I'm going through it just to help find some of the stories that I use in this week on the live stream. So
Right.
it's pretty good. Actually, Tim found out about The Peak because I found out about it first, and I sent out information about it once, and then Tim followed that, and that got him into The Peak. Which is funny because now Tim comes back every so often and is like, "Hey, have you heard of The Peak?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, Tim, I introduced you to The Peak." So yeah, that's there we go. He's probably rebooting right now, getting ready to come back.
Hey, Sophie, what's going on? It has been a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been like the Dancer Banter's been away for the whole summer. It's like, it's been a long, long haul. Look, it's Tim. He's peeked back in.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Hello.
Well, you have to invite yourself. We don't have any
This
ability, any
is-
power.
I was telling Candace before we came on, I've got Virgin, which is a subsidiary of Bell and stuff. And this guy is sitting in some office somewhere. And he goes, "Well, I can tell you from here that the lines are working just fine." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, that's really great." He goes, "It's not cutting out now." And it's like, did he seriously just say that? Because I'm talking to him through the app over the internet. Did he seriously say that it's working just fine right now?
Well,
And
not
it's like,
not all jobs hire scholars, Tim. Right?
Yeah. And I used to have
Right.
Virgin, but then I found a volcano, and well, you know what happens to virgins when they run into volcanoes.
go to Krabby Joe's.
Yeah.
Anyway, now what the hell was I saying? Oh, right. I don't know if I can do
You're
this
talking
anymore.
about the Peak
Yeah.
newsletter.
Yeah, and I don't
The newsletter.
know if I can do this or not. Let me just see. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share this. So the Peak is this, I think it's a Canadian brand, but it's already come out with suggested stocking stuffers. Here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, the technology. Doomsday kits.
I kid you not. It's like
Not bad.
really a doomsday kit. And it's like, yep. And it's where, oh my God, how do I get to this? There it is there. 1 second. I don't know if I can get to it or not. Is that moving up now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so here it is. It says, if you're looking for some early Christmas ideas, nothing spreads holiday cheer quite like a doomsday survival.
Yeah.
You can't make this shit
No,
up.
I've seen some Christmas meals where you need a doomsday kit afterwards.
Oh, it's like, are you seriously doing this? And apparently, they are.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of
So-
preppers. I mean, the prepper market is huge. It's
I
basically
don't know.
every bad news story that come out, the preppers are there. They're spinning their, doom and gloom version of it and
Yeah.
selling all of these prepper kits at the same time.
Their
Well-
propaganda.
Propaganda. Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this season if everyone's going to just have a good, healthy Christmas and then just pay the prices they normally do, trying to pay all the bills off in January, February, and that would be the prime time for shit to hit the fan, right? Because I looked at we have to file. Oh my God, it's called a UHT form for our taxes, and is it underused housing tax, which was brought out because of people coming into the country buying a gazillion dollars worth of property and leaving it blank. Problem being is that now that's housing that could be used for everything else. And so, okay, I get it. And then so my accountant calls and she says, we've been back and forth, and no, you don't have to worry about this. Now you got to worry about this. And I got on the phone with her yesterday, and she gives me shit. She goes, I've sent out all kinds of stuff on this. Have you not read it? And I said, no, I haven't. Not like saying, this is what I pay you for. Tell me why. She goes, well, because you're an Airbnb, you have to declare that you're not living in it and that it's a rental, but here's what the rental is used for. And I said, so you're telling me now that I've got to pay an additional tax on top of my what's called MAT tax up there, which is the municipal assessment tax, which is what the Bruce Peninsula, South Bruce Peninsula charges 4% of my my net earnings on my Airbnb to go back into the coffers of the municipality for advertising and for this and for that and stuff. Well, it's interesting to say that they projected in their budget for this past year $400,000. You know how much they actually collected? $125,000.
Yikes.
And it's like, I don't understand. I'm starting to get tired of paying all these taxes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's going to get worse for people who are running Airbnbs, because where there's much more money for landlords to be made on short-term rentals, there's a push within the government to try to make it much more, what's the word, problematic to be a short-term renter. So they're looking at increasing extra taxes on people who do B&Bs or any type of short-term rental, because they want the longer-term rentals out there because of the housing crisis. So they're trying to discourage people from doing short-term rentals. And some cities are getting to the point where they're saying, okay, this is how many Airbnbs we can have and no more.
I think BC is going to be the first sort of case study out of the gate there. It's interesting you say that, because I've got both properties. I've got a short-term rental, and in a couple of weeks I'll have a long-term rental, which is our condo in downtown Toronto. And it was interesting because I'm changing some things in my setup of businesses. I'm getting rid of my corporation and bringing it over as a sole proprietorship, blah 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 blah. And part of this thing was, I said to my accountant, look, we're going to be putting the condo into the market as a long term. We're only allowed under the board management rules for our condo corp to have long-term rentals. We're not allowed short-term rentals in there. Do I need an HST number? No, you don't, because when it becomes a long-term rental, you do not need an HST number. Okay, fine. I said, and here's how much I knew about it. I said, so I've just dropped a bootload of money into there and I paid all this HST. She goes, the HST actually will be broken back and knocked back out as a business expense. And I went, interesting. So I'm still going to get the benefit of the HST. It's just in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is a problem. I mean, this is, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know what the housing's like down in Sarnia, Ken, but up here it's crazy. The houses are going for, a basement is going for $2,000, 1 bedroom, 1 bath here in the GTA.
Yeah, ours is around there, anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000, depending on location within the city. The houses have come down a bit, though. There's a couple of houses that I was looking at before. They were in the 8s or 9s, and now they're going for about 6.
Yeah, well,
but the rent, that's the thing. You're not going to get. Everybody thinks that when the housing market cools, the rent's going to come down, but it's not going to.
Goes the other way, kind of.
The rents are kind of tied into the rate hikes.
Right. So, well, yes. and even the ones that, own their property outright, right? They're not paying a mortgage on it. They're not going to bring their profit down compared to everybody else across the board, right? So, I've never, personally myself, I've never seen where rent went really high and then all of a sudden it got kicked down. I've never seen that. Have you guys ever seen that with rent where it's really high and then all of a sudden it's kicked down?
Well, no, I think rent is sort of, it's one of those things that's kind of like a collective bargaining agreement. It never goes backwards.
No, the only
Right,
way
it's
you'll
just-
get rents coming down is if you have an excess in vacancy rate. So if you don't have the people to fill them, then that will bring the prices down. But guess what we're doing? We're bringing in a whole bunch of immigrants, and that high level of immigration is going to make sure that there's no empty places for a very long time.
Yeah, because all the builders are building houses instead of apartment complexes, right? They're not building to house the masses. And that seems to be really what the issue is. Like all this land, like they just unlocked some more land here in Sarnia for the builders, and they're building houses. They just built another high rise, and everybody thought it was going to be like a geared to income kind of housing.
Mhm.
No, it starts at like $2,600 for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Mhm. It's not
And
bad.
nothing fancy. It's just an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment,
Yeah, that's insane. But I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say we're in a society now where you can have a half decent job and still not actually afford a 1-bedroom
Right.
apartment on your own.
Yeah, like I remember 20 some odd years ago. When I first moved out when I was 17, a 2-bedroom apartment was anywhere between $400 and $450 a month.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was a lot back then.
And your minimum wage was around $8, $8 to $8.50, somewhere in there.
Mm.
So it was doable. You still did have, if you worked full time, you still did have a couple of bucks left over at the end of the month. Nothing huge, but at least you weren't breaking even or in the minus by working a full-time job like everybody is now. Like it takes 2 incomes plus family members for some to make ends meet for, their living situation.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
places where you've got multiple families and houses now
Yeah.
in some cases.
Well, I mean, some of those cultures haven't got it wrong. There's something to be learned from that, in the
Mhm.
fact that that's some some people go, oh, that's disgusting and stuff, and I'm not of that thought. I'm thinking no, there's look at it a different way. That what can we learn? Why are they doing that? They're becoming minimalists. They're not minimalist, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm thinking minimalist because there's a actually, for those of you, there's a documentary on Netflix right now. It's called Minimalist, and just started to watch it. I had to stop because Nancy will give me hell if I don't let her watch at the same time. But
Mhm.
it's just they're smart about it. Yeah, it's built into their culture, but holy shit, does it ever work? Like, I mean, there are some lessons that we should be learning from people coming back into our country as immigrants, to say this is in some respects their work ethic is what our work ethic used to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but also look at it this way too. If you're able to live 2 or 3 families in a single dwelling, I bet you most of those kids are going to be able to afford to go to university.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or what a
Yep.
lot of the Pakis and East Indians have been doing. It's like I said before, they'll all live in one house. They'll get that house paid off, and then one of the cousins will go get another house, and then everybody will leave that house, go into that house. Now, that previous house, that guy can live a little more comfortable because he has no mortgage. He's just got his property tax and normal bills.
It doesn't take them long either, because if you
5 years. They're doing it in 5 years.
oh yeah, yeah.
Now it might be a little
definitely
longer with
strength
the
in
interest
masses.
rates being a little higher, but it used to be roughly 5 years.
I don't know that we'll ever see those low interest rates again, to be honest with you, at least not in my lifetime.
No, I mean, once we get to the point that we turn the bend and we look at doing a bit of a flip, You're going to see rates come down, but they're not going to go down that much.
No.
Like, I don't think we'll see anything south of 4 again.
Right. You might
Yeah,
with private
that's-
lenders. You might with private lenders, but the banking, I don't think so. I think the 4 would be the less.
Well, with all these layoffs that the banks are publicizing and stuff, cutting their workforces and stuff like that, are they starting to send a message that the recession's coming? Because banks usually, I mean, they've got, I mean, I understand they have to be accountable to their shareholders and they're running their business as a business and stuff like that, right? But they're still making a shit ton of money. Like they build into their budget every single year X amount of millions, billions of dollars that they're going to lose, period. Right. But they still come ahead making 4 or 5 times that much.
Yeah, you're going to see, like, I think, like, take, for example, Bank of Nova Scotia recently laid people off, and they point blank said it's all because of streamlining, that they've been able to streamline a lot of their services.
Automation, yeah.
Streamlining,
Formal
automation. We're talking AI. This is a little bit of AI starting to creep into the banking system, and they will lay people off. It's going to happen. It's just going to be a normal thing. Those people will have to find something else to do. There's no way around it, because you're going to see layoffs in a lot of industries. Anything that can be automated, you're going to start seeing these layoffs start creeping in.
Well, they're about to retool the Oakville plant, the Oakville Ford plant here for the electric. It's all good. We don't know what platforms are going to be there, but there's going to be 3 or 4 different platforms run out of there. And one of our neighbors up in Sauble, he is a membership recruiter for Unifor, and he said that it was unheard that what Ford got of a 40% over 4 years was absolutely unheard of. And it started. I mean, the first company we saw that got the big holy shit, what are you doing type of thing was WestJet. Wasn't it WestJet when they settled theirs, right? And it's like, how you bring up this automation, it's like, that's great and dandy, but if this place goes automated, where's your job security?
Well, exactly.
Right? Because the computer's going to diagnose a computer and say what's wrong with it. If it's that advanced.
Yeah.
Right, Ken?
That's very true. Very true.
What do you think about Alberta wanting to separate and do their own CPP?
Well, it would be a disaster for Canada if it happened. Because, I mean, they say they say that they should be getting pretty much more than 50% of the entire coffer right now. And there's going to be a lot of arguing over that. But even no matter what it is that they do get, it's going to be really interesting, because I think it's going to leave the rest of Canada a little bit short. I also think it's going to be really interesting in seeing how it's going to work, because if all of a sudden you can't get your CPP is really screwed in the rest of Canada, well, why wouldn't you just move to Alberta, where all of a sudden you can get the Alberta provincial plan or whatever? So it'll be really interesting to see how this all is going to boil down, I think.
Why all of a sudden are they sort of saying, well, wait a minute, we're being left out in the cold here? I mean, the population
ever since Trudeau made that big announcement that he did, what was it, 2 years ago? And he named off all the provinces and he forgot about Alberta, the big one.
Oh, okay.
They've hated him ever since that speech. Ever since that speech, the Albertans have hated Trudeau.
Well, I mean, right now Alberta they're not very happy with Trudeau. I mean, a lot of the country's not happy with Trudeau at this point. Let's be honest. But anyway, we were talking about AI a second ago, and I just wanted to show something here really quickly. I've put it up in the thing. So I was doing a channel membership live stream.
Oh, there it is. Hang on.
The other night.
Here it comes.
And quite literally, I was like, let's show you how good AI is with images. And I went into an image machine that does these type of things. And I just said, I want a polar bear on a pumpkin. And I got this image. It brought it back to me, like, quite literally less than a minute.
Wait a minute. You went into a program on the computer
Hmm.
and you said, I want a polarogram.
I want a polar
Hologram.
bear on a pumpkin. And this is what it brought back to me.
A lot of the drama communities on YouTube are using that stuff, and they're also using the AI voice to make you say stuff that you didn't make.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, no, AI is just getting crazy good.
yeah, it is.
Well, I think we've come full circle on evolution because we used to ask if people were a computer. Now our computer is asking if we're a person.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you a robot? No.
Well, it's actually really interesting. I was watching a video the other day on job interviewing, and one of the things they're saying is that people have got to stop when they're doing their resumes. They got to stop putting old stuff on their resumes. Like nobody cares that you know Windows 95 or Windows 98. Nobody cares that you know how to use email, or you know how to use the internet. Little things like that. Like people are still apparently putting these on their resumes, and it's like it was the whole idea is to stick to current technology. I mean, nowadays, if you can say I understand AI and I know how to use AI, that might be a good thing to throw on a resume if you're going into a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that there would just give off that you already know how to use Windows or Mac, right? That kind of already that surpasses it, right? So they would assume, right? So being computer illiterate and knowing how to use a computer, AI would be above that. So you wouldn't even need as long as you mentioned AI, then they would know that you're computer illiterate.
Well, one of the things that I hear a lot of is that you don't have to worry about being replaced by AI. You need to be worried about being replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI.
Right.
So that's the thing. I'll use AI any way, shape, or form if I can find it does something that I like.
Well, that's
Or
the
if
idea,
it's gonna
right?
save some time. Or if I want a pumpkin and a polar bear, I will be there.
I just think it's making us a stupider society.
Well, yes and no, but I mean, if you're the non-artist, what would you have done in the past before AI could make you a polar bear image with a pumpkin? You would have had to go out and hire somebody who has a trained polar bear, and you need some photographers, some good ones. You know,
And a
you,
big pumpkin.
big pumpkin. Yeah, I mean, you need all of that to pull it off. So think of the time, the money, the effort. So in this case here, you're no smarter than the person who managed to do all of that in the past.
But
You just
doesn't this
basically said, "Hey, here's what I want." AI said, "Okay, here you go."
kill our as humanity? Doesn't this kill our critical thinking skills and our ability to walk and chew gum at the same time? And that we become so dependent. So I mean, someone is going to become so dependent on technology that they're
Mhm.
going to walk out reading their phone on a red light and get killed
Okay, but
and totally believe.
okay, let's step backwards. Let me ask you a question. Do
Do
you
you
know
want to
how to
go on
use
the
a
red light?
slide rule?
To what?
Do you know how to use a slide rule?
Uh, Very vaguely.
Right, but you know how to use a calculator.
Mhm.
You know,
I
it
did all my stuff mental math, pencil and pen,
or
pencil and paper.
you probably don't know how to effectively use an abacus, for example. I mean, that's what happens. Old new technology disappears. Like old technology disappears, it's replaced by new technology, and we get a society that doesn't know how to use the old technology.
I'm fluent in abacus. What you do is you pick it up, you slide them all to one end, and then you throw it in the garbage.
There we go.
And then
Count
and
on
then
that, can't
and
you?
then and then and then you pick up a calculator that says made in China. That way, no hard feelings to the
Yeah.
abacus, right?
No, but it is true. I mean, and that's the big problem is if we ever did get to a point where we had like a major, apocalypse level event, um, nobody's going to know how to do all the old stuff except for
No,
professional preppers.
no.
I mean,
Like
and that's a normal trend in society. We've been moving in that direction for since the horses.
You're
I don't know how
absolutely
to horseshoe a horse.
Yeah, there's less parents. Actually, I was on a live stream the one day. We're talking about it. There's less parents teaching their kids basic survival skills. You know, like throw you out in the woods, now survive.
That's because kids
You
today
know,
won't go
how to
near the
read
woods. They're just too far away from their
how to
their
how to read a
livestock.
map, how to use a compass. They have no
Mhm.
clue. You know, and there's and it's not society's fault. It's the parents' fault for not instilling that education in their children, right?
Well, and that's why I think as a parent, it's probably important to expose your kids to something, whether it be something as simple as Boy Scouts or cadets or something, so that they at least learn some of these basic skills.
And the funny
Yep.
thing is, though, is all those basic skills are pretty much a portion of science, really, when you think about it.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know how to start a fire, right? It's science. It's friction. It's reflections of the sunlight through a bag of water, magnifying, right? It's all science when it comes down to it. How to
But there are
filter
some kids you probably
water.
don't want to teach them how to make a fire with a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're
That's
right. I mean, if God love people that I know that are not handy, and they go to Google or they'll go to YouTube and they'll figure it out and they get the job done. But if we lose that, they don't have the rudimentary skills that I have to say, okay, I can do that. I can MacGyver this. I can MacGyver that. That's going to be gone. After my generation, it's going to be gone,
Yeah, the days
right?
of the
It's going to
time-like
be
books are
gone,
done.
Well,
right?
the Swiss
Like,
Army stock is falling because less people are buying their knives, so you won't be able to MacGyver anything in the future.
Yeah, that's true.
not as sharp as they used to be, though.
That's because they're using thinner metal, or should I say, tinner metal?
On the bright side, you
Wow.
can get duct tape now in all kinds of bright colors.
Very
Jesus.
true. Very true. You can make yourself a Halloween bumblebee costume out of duct tape.
Mm.
Candace, how do you know that?
I've ordered duct tape in different colors.
Yeah, you type in duct tape and it comes up in like 50 different colors. You got to
Oh, yeah, you
choose
go
your
to
own
Amazon.
adventure. Choose your own color.
I'm thinking I don't get up in the morning and type in duct tape.
Well, there's
Why
actually
not?
this one duct tape that's called duct tape, and it's a yellow one.
Tim, if you're not getting up and Googling duct tape in the morning, you have no idea what you're missing out on, brother. It's a
Well, there's
culture.
duct tape and then there's tuck tape.
I think they're two
Well,
different things.
yeah, you know what to do with duct tape.
Yeah, that's the red stuff that's killer. That stuff will, that's like Frank's Red Hot. Use that shit on everything.
I got
Anyway.
lots of hot sauce here. I got some Da Bomb for you if you ever drop by.
Some what?
Da Bomb.
Let's go to Candace's. We're gonna drop by for the bomb. The
Remember,
bomb
I
of
did the
bomb.
Hot Ones challenge, so I got a lot of hot sauce. Well, most of the hot sauce
Oh,
I've actually
hot
eaten
sauce.
most of it. Yeah, hot sauce.
You've eaten most of that hot sauce?
Yeah, most of it's gone. It's just the really
Oh,
high stuff
Jesus.
now. I've still got Da Bomb left, and I got a tiny bit of Angry Goat, and I got a little bit of the Last Dab. But yeah, so
Listen, I'll
I
tell you, I had
imagine
some of
Da
that
Bomb is going to be around for a while.
Well, you know what they say,
like the
right?
top one, the Last Dab one. I can add about 10 drops to like a stew or something, and the whole thing goes hot.
Yeah, a
But
little
it's
drop.
Yeah.
Will do.
manageable because it dilutes it enough.
Yeah, a little drop will do you, right?
Yeah, about 10 drops, and it's a
yeah, no, I'm
nice
good.
burn.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not like
good.
dealing with like Taco Bell mild sauce where you need 3 or 4 packets, right? And you just need a couple of drops and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting. Interesting to see what happens. I don't know. It's I've gone down a rabbit hole with watching survival and off-grid stuff, and it's appealing. Just I wish there wasn't so many bugs.
Well, that's the outdoors, right?
Right. It's, you know,
It's
Well,
bugs and
things-
ticks. That's what you got to worry
if
about.
things go sideways, those bugs are your protein.
I am not eating a bug.
I'd rather have worms.
Right.
What did I have that mustard on? What did she make me eat with that watermelon? Was it watermelon? She
I think
made
it was
me
a
eat the
watermelon. Yeah, you had a watermelon with mustard.
Didn't
Didn't she also make you eat pizza with peanut butter on it or something?
Didn't you try that? That was my suggestion because I like that.
I thought you did. I thought you tried.
I
peanut butter on
tried that,
pizza.
and then I tried. We tried, which we still use, was Andrew's, where he puts peanut butter and then he puts red pepper jelly on it.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Not bad,
Yeah.
not bad, but anyway.
Oh, another bright news. I'm no longer taking injections. All the blood clots are clear, and I'm now officially off the blood thinners.
Nice.
Yes.
Now, is there any future checkups? Like, do you got to go get a checkup every 6 months on your blood to make
No,
sure
he said-
nothing's coming
It says
back?
it's
or-
something. If I start to feel bad or something, give them a call type thing.
So you're
you know,
100% in the clear then. That's good.
yeah. Well, there's about a 10% chance of them reoccurring in the first 2 years.
Okay, so you just got to be careful the first 2 years.
But
and-
Sorry,
you know, I'm
what's
getting
the percentage?
about 10%.
Now, they still weren't able to rule it out. What caused it, eh?
Well, I mean, I sit on my butt too much. That's one of the factors. There's many different factors, but I've basically, I don't eat I don't eat very much processed food anymore. Most of the stuff I eat is fresh vegetables, and I get 30 to 35 minutes of exercise every single day. So
Good for you.
yeah, so I'm just doing all of these things that will prevent clots and also just help overall health.
Right.
So
Nice.
yeah, because hey, spending a little bit of time in the hospital, you don't want to go back.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
no. It's our neighbor just had. She had her hip replaced beginning of October. 2.5 weeks later, she was in getting the other hip replaced,
Oh,
and I'm like, "Whoa, that's freaking ambitious!" Like she said, "Well, this hip's about 70% now. I'm going in and getting this hip done." It's like, are you crazy? Anyway,
you know what they said after they were both done?
hip hip hooray!
You just killed my joke. You killed my joke.
Well, you asked.
I know, but you killed it. You killed it. It's like you could have just sort of served it like a volleyball, just poof, so that I could.
Okay, let's do it
spike
again as
right?
if it never happened.
Oh well, no, it already happened. Now there's video evidence of it happening.
Oh, I'm sure that we'll get another subscriber go or another viewer that'll go from 9 to 10 and they haven't heard. As soon as I see that go to 10, we're going to say it again.
We'll see what go to 10.
The viewers.
Oh, the viewers. There we go. Yeah. You
I
need
had
more
my
viewers.
mother-in-law up at the cottage, and she's got dementia and stuff, and
Mhm.
so I'm out getting stuff, putting stuff away, winterizing the cottage, so on and so forth, and I walk, and I'm starting to walk back up towards the cottage, and I hear the TV and music coming out. What the fuck? I walk in, and she's picked up the wrong clicker. She goes, "I've pushed a button." And I said, "I can tell you pushed a button. It's like the volume's at 45 in here." She's turned on Vivo,
Oh.
Oh,
and she's watching an Aerosmith song. And I looked at her and I go, "You like this?" "Oh, I love this stuff," she says. So then it goes through April Wine, and it's got all these different. It's like MTV all over again, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. I never knew this existed, because this is something that, when I got nothing to do and I want to shut my brain off, I'll go put it on. Well, Rod Stewart comes on.
Mhm.
Dementia's a funny thing, because the damnedest things come out of her mouth. She says, "Oh yeah, no, I know him. We've had lunch together in downtown Toronto.
Oh.
Had lunch with him in downtown Toronto." Immediately, I'm on my text saying to one, because sometimes the shit she says is true, and sometimes it's like, we're about 3 counties over. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And he said, "No, he never had that." we're driving up Yonge Street a couple of weeks ago, and she's in the passenger seat, and it's fairly busy with pedestrian traffic. And she's like this, and I'm going, something catch your eye? She goes, I know that person. I said, that person? You know that person? That young Asian lady, you know? Yes, I know her from somewhere. I'm like, it's sad, but it's like, oh my God. And I am absolutely the worst person to be around when someone's got a deficit, because I can't, it's just too much material there. Way too much material there. And I have to hold back, but it's just some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
where did that come from? Anyway,
Sometimes, I don't know. I know I was at an old age home once, and this woman just got up and walked straight up to me, and she was like, I know who you are. I know what you're up to, and you're not going to get away with it. Then somebody ushered her away. I'm like, okay. She really does know me. I mean, no.
I would have turned, see, that's something I would have turned to her and said, did the check not clear? You're supposed to keep mum on this, you know? I would have played right into it, because it's like, there's certain things you can do that it's like, it's so easy to get them off on a different tangent if they start down the, like we don't get cable up there, right? And she's locked in. It's like this. When OJ was on and the OJ case was on, she would come home from the bank, throw on CNN, and that was her life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it was the war, and we only have replays of global news up there, and it's like, oh God, what did I do that for? Because it's like, that was the same bomb that happened 10 minutes ago. This is a rewind, you know what I mean? It's like, why are they doing this? I don't understand this, and stuff like that. And you know, I put my boots on, go back out and work. That's about all I can do, because you run out of stuff to say to them and to rationalize with them, right?
Yeah.
It's a crazy disease, absolutely crazy disease. So anyway,
That's when you just say something crazy.
yeah,
Throw
yeah.
crazy.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to say to them, and I can catch myself. I'll start to say something like, "Don't you remember?" And it's like, you're never supposed to say that to them.
Right.
Mhm.
You never talk money with them, ever. And what else is it? There's just other stuff that's, because when she was at the cottage, my sister-in-law was down in St. Lucia on a vacation, right? And she smokes now. My mother-in-law smokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she goes out and she shuts the door, like just opens the door, stands on the porch, and starts to smoke. And it's wafting back into the cottage. And I get up and I bang on the door and I said, you can't smoke there. I'll smoke wherever I want, blah, 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 blah. And I said, you can't. It's coming back in the cottage, and this is a smoke-free environment. So then she walks down to the bottom of the steps and smokes there. And it's like, oh, dear God. You know, how do we keep walking this down the path a bit to get her away from the house, you know?
Yikes.
And she doesn't remember how many smokes she's had. So she'll go through a pack a day. She just doesn't remember. So,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah.
Yeah. No, hopefully if I ever get dementia, I just don't realize it.
Well, I've got a buddy of mine I went to school with in grade school, and he is on this new test drug for memory. It's a memory drug, but they put it right into his spine. And I don't know.
That
I
way
don't
he
know how.
can't forget to take it.
Well, I don't think he's that bad. He must be starting to deteriorate if he's on this memory stuff, and which really surprises me. But things happen to people, right?
Mm. Yeah. No,
Anyway.
I say just work your brain, and that'll give you at least the best chance of pushing it as long as you can into your upper years.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's about the size of that. So you've got stuff going on with your videos and your
Oh,
streams.
there's always stuff
and-
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Friday I got a video coming out on tax loss harvesting that somebody had requested.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a live stream coming out, of course, on the weekend, and I think Monday is, or sorry, I think the Tuesday video is my 0 to 1K challenge. Next update for that.
Have you ever heard? Have you guys heard anything more from? Remember, who was that young kid in high school?
Oh, right,
Remember?
him. Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Oh shit!
Yeah, him.
yeah. I haven't heard hide or hair. I think I had a comment maybe 6 months ago.
Oh my god! What the heck was the guy's name? He was a good kid.
Yeah.
He was in the Pokemon cards.
Well, hopefully he's not watching this and he's like, "Oh my god, I thought they were all."
Well,
my
if he
friends."
is, would you mind typing your? No, I haven't. Yeah, would you mind typing your name into the chat, because that's horrible that we can't remember the guy's name. He was such a nice guy.
And I'm even subscribed to him too because he had that he
Yeah,
had our channel, and then he had to go back to school.
yeah. Ah,
Yeah,
shit.
banana bread. Yeah, my mind has gone blank. We should just
Wow.
rename this channel to Old Farts Trying to Remember Things.
Yeah, or call it. Wait a minute, I know the answer to that.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. I used to know that. Oh.
Yeah.
And Ken, what are you doing on the weekend? Your normal stuff?
Normal spew of who the hell knows.
And are you slowing down at work?
Supposed to be, but apparently not. So, like, well, I was done kind of early today, but I didn't take my lunch, so that was a half hour there, and then that would have put me into the government regulated half hour break every 5 hours. So that's another half hour that I didn't take. So I would have been finished around 7, or a little after 7 instead of a little after 6. So we're
Okay. How far
using-
are you from your yard?
well, I'm up. I today I finished up in Exeter,
Ooh.
so that's what now.
No, but where do you go to pick up your truck?
Oh, from my house, I'm like 5 minutes away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like 5 minutes away. It's down the street, around the corner there.
Cool. Well, thank you all so much for hanging in there and doing another live stream. We'll have to. I don't know when Nancy's going to make an appearance, to be honest with you.
Just get
Yeah,
that
I thought-
cardboard cutout of her and put it behind you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do that. She's at the Ajax facility today and tomorrow. She's staying overnight there. I
That's
don't
pretty
know
good
what's
clean
going
that
on.
Ajax.
Yes, a lot of comments there. And
That's true.
yeah. Do you still use the SOS pads?
Only when I need help.
Say goodnight, Dick.
Night, Richard.
Good night. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're going to get out of this while we can gracefully. Thanks for chiming in and tune into Candace's. What's your channel again? I know what it's called. It's I'm not that thick, but I mean,
Wow. It's called Mountain
Candace
Finance.
Mountain. I know that. I'm just trying to get you.
Well,
I'm
you
trying
seem
to
to be taking
engage.
too long.
Hey,
You know, that poor person sitting there with the pencil just waiting to write it down. And it's like, come on, say it, say
not
it.
enough time to sharpen it again. At least they get the point. Of course, now the jokes come on as we're ending. Good night, everybody. On that note, see you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
For God's sake.
Push the button, Stan. Push the button.
Oh, come on. It's Carl.